Yeehaw! Yes, look at this. It is Thursday. It is 9. So it's UK Cowboys time. We've got the double Scotch with us, as it always is on the Thursday. And we have the living legend from Blogging the Boys and Riled Up Podcast, Mr. Tom Ryle. How are we doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing well. Delighted to be here from across the pond. It's always fun to jump into something you've never done before with some guys that like I've hung out with Paul on the live streams over at BTB, but it's nice to meet you other guys. And of course, love the UK Cowboys fans. I mean, it's great. I love England. I only got to spend a week there once long ago, but it's a great country. I wish I could come back and spend more. There's great people. I'm glad to be here. Thrilled you invited me on.
Of course we would have you on. We've got to have the legend from Riled Up. We got him
there. Oh, I've missed that.
Yeah. How's your holiday been as well, Lorne? You've been away the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it was good. It was nice to get away. Wasn't as crazy as I thought it'd be with 17 of the clan with me, but
17, jeez.
Yeah, including the 2.5-year-old. So
you guys have your own tartan or something?
Hey, I do.
Yeah.
Oh dear, but yeah.
Yes. Go on, mate. Go on.
But I was just going to say, it's after our last night's show. I'm very intrigued what we're going to be doing today. I'm very intrigued.
Yeah, it's all in the pipeline. Don't you worry, it's all there. There's a lot to go over, especially with the news that's happened this week. And talking of getting riled up, we will be looking at this week's. A couple of days ago, Mel Kiper's mock draft. We'll get into that a little bit. First bit of news though, I want to ask you guys because it literally dropped today. How do you all feel about? And I know it's slightly off topic, but we'll bring it back. Don't worry. On Dan Snyder saying he's going to sell the Commanders. Yeah, he's announced it today. Go on, Tom.
Yeah. Good riddance to bad rubbish. I mean, Dan Snyder has always made me want to take a bath every time I saw him on the internet. I won't get into all the scandals and everything.
Of course, yeah.
He's to me one of the problems with the billionaire owners and billionaires in general. People that just think that the rules don't apply. They can do whatever they want. Their money lets them get away with it. And, of course, it took a long time for the other owners to move on him because they've all got skeletons and they're all kind of afraid of the same thing happening to them. But it's time. Maybe some people will clean up their act and maybe the Commanders can become like a legitimate NFL franchise again.
Yeah, I mean, for me, in a way, I do kind of sympathize for the Washington football team, Commanders, whoever you want to call them nowadays, because it seems to be like, who knows what you want to call them now. But I do sympathize with them because it just kind of feels like they're just kind of like left in the dirt by their owner who's not reinvested into the team. Like the stadium's falling apart, etc., etc. And especially for a team in the capital, especially, you would think to like you would want that team to be a pinnacle stone within the NFL franchise, and unfortunately not. Like you're seeing burst pipes in the stadium. They're changing uniforms nearly every year, trying making like basically coups every year. They try and get money off the fans. I do kind of feel sorry for them in a way, but they're a rival, so meh.
And it is sad because like we talk generally as we do with the NFC East side of it all, in the the NFL UK groups, that the UK Washington Commanders guys, they're so frustrated and they're nice guys as well. And like we seen that last year, and they were so embarrassed by it with the monument they put up
Yeah.
It was just like, yeah, it's dreadful. And then you have that weird pig mascot as well, and then that just made things even worse. You're just like, what's going on with the branding over there? Somebody just needs to grab the bull by the horns and steer it back.
The fact they actually stole the actual hashtag and all the kind of branding ideas from the San Antonio Commanders, like from the USFL, like you're like, where's your creativity? And also the fact that they actually got all the years wrong technically from their Super Bowl wins and the emblem. You're like, how could you get this wrong? Like, and even before they were announced as the Commanders, they did a whole name quiz type of thing with Chase Young at the time, and Chase Young's like, it's like Commanders, nah, I don't like that one. Like Red Tails, yeah, I like that one. Like all these different names, and Commanders was like the least popular, and they decided to go with it. Like
I do have to say that I'm glad you gave a shout out to the long suffering fans of Washington, because I have a lot of respect for the fans of all other NFL teams not named the Philadelphia Eagles, and I just they deserve a football team, and it is market in the United States, and it's time that they kind of got back on track and became a respectable organization.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the stadium that really let it down. Like I never liked FedEx Field where it is anyway. I mean, it's a bit of an odd place, but if you're gonna put it where it is, you need to make it this shiny beacon. And like you said, Paul, it's the capital. You know what I mean?
It's an absolute shame. It kind of demeanors the actual capital of the USA. This is from, I don't know about you, Tom, but from an outside perspective, you would think Washington being the pinnacle of the United States, and you've got a stadium like that, it doesn't feel right. Like,
parts of the stadium held with like cable ties and temporary gates and fencing falling down.
And you have fans getting drenched by the sewage water and stuff like that.
Cables trailing across walkways and stuff, and you're like, what?
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
I mean, it's a bit of a poison chalice being the owner of the Washington team, because I mean, if you think George Preston Marshall, I mean, he was bad as well. I mean, obviously he was the last team to reintegrate blacks into the league. Almost tried to block the Cowboys coming in as well, but Clint Murchison bought out the old fight song, and threatened to hold it over him. So. And then you get Dan Snyder and all the, Dan Snyder, at least when he took over, he sort of revived a bit of the rivalry that had sort of begun to die off in the late 90s. And then it's only in the last 4 or 5 years that, all the things that have come out, all the little dodgy dealings he's been doing, all the pressure and all this sort of stuff. And then the last couple of years, some of the PR stuff, as you say, Mike, the
branding,
the raiding of a Foot Locker store to get the statue for Taylor and all that sort of stuff. It's just time to move on and clear house.
Yeah, just in the terms of like say Dan Snyder, it couldn't be fitting of a surname of dodgy dealings with a surname like that. Snyder by name, Snidey by association.
Well, yeah. I mean, because like you say, Tom, there's a lot. I know we're not going to talk scandal. There's no point in getting into it. Mm-hmm. But there's like that whole attitude of look at where I am. I can get away with it. The rules don't apply. And then when it all falls apart, then he's trying to dig dirt on the other owners, and he's not even like I'll try and find dirt and do it on this. He's open about it. Like if I'm going down, I'm taking you all with me.
Is us one worst enemy?
Yeah, very true. But here's a question for you guys. So we're getting straight into the first question. Everyone at home as well, answer this. What would you guys prefer? All right, this isn't the would you rather part yet, but it's just something that sort of popped up this week in conversation. Would you rather? So we are going there already. Yep. Right? So we've got Lamb and Trayvon Diggs, who are both coming up to contract times. But which would be better? CeeDee Lamb with being a first round pick with a 5th-year option, or Trayvon Diggs if you could flip it around?
Well, for me, I would get Diggs done first because of that 5th-year option.
Oh, no. What I mean is, which would you rather have? Would you have rather taken Trayvon Diggs in the first round so he has the 5th-year option, or CD Lamb?
Or as if we were drafting those players.
Yeah, so we drafted because they were both in the same year.
Lauren?
Yeah. That's a tough one. If you're not going to let us say both, because
no, you can't say both. You can't say both.
Can't say both. Yeah, okay. I'm always trying to find a little out there, but God,
here we go.
the
5th-year option.
It's still a little bit early to be sure, but I just think that a top flight corner is a little harder to replace than a top flight wide receiver. So I'd have to lean Diggs. And that's, believe me, that's not a knock on CD. I think he's going to have a great year now that he's got Cooks lining up against on the other side, or however they line him up. But having him out there running patterns alongside him, I think it could be a great year for Lamb. But yeah, I'd have to say if you can only pick one, I'd lean towards Diggs.
Yeah,
I think I agree. I mean, I think in the hierarchy of things, it's normally quarterback, left tackle, defensive end. Well, switch those two around maybe, and then you've got cornerback is number 4. That's how you build a franchise, as far as I'm concerned.
With wide receiver, probably your 5th position coming in behind that. Yeah, that's the classic money positions. And I agree with that evaluation. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm wondering if in actuality they don't work real hard on getting one of them signed to an extension, and the other they use the 5th-year option on to buy a little time.
Yes, because it is harder to find a cornerback than it is, but like you say, and especially when you think of recent years, how many good wide receivers have been coming through in college. It's pick your guy. I know this year's slightly different, but it's just something that's cropping up, because when you think about it, especially with Trayvon Diggs, I think as well, CD Lamb, the talent I feel is obvious. You see us there. That if this was his contract year, you'd just be like, let's just get it done. With Trayvon Diggs, because there's been this boom or bust with him, and last year was a little bit less. You just want to see this year what you've got, and then you kind of, what I think is like, right, lay the 5th-year option. Let's exercise that. It's going to cost a bit, but so be it. And let's just see what we've got before we finalize it. Because to me, Trayvon Diggs feels he's a cornerback 1, and you can argue both ways. I think that he is and he isn't, but why not, if you had a 5th-year option, chuck that at him and find out if he is?
Yeah, that's a good bit of logic. I will say that while Diggs' interceptions were certainly down, I think the stats show that his coverage was better.
Yeah.
So that's a kind of weird, inconsistent form of consistency. So that's another argument, I think, that they need to look at locking him up first.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think as well that maybe, I think perhaps the interception year was them just letting Diggs loose, which I don't think is a bad idea when it comes to cornerback. Let a cornerback play with what their strengths are and let the rest of the defense work around that. Last year, I think they kind of tried to rein in a little bit on what they wanted him to do. And I think perhaps this year's going to go back the other way again. Just do what you do, Trayvon. We'll work around you.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of things, though. I mean, as Tom says, that, the coverage skills were up, but, he could probably do with getting in front of the jugs machine this offseason, because he certainly left a few interceptions on the table there. And I thought you actually saw him biting more on some of the crossing routes a little bit more. So he needs to get back to the sort of basics of a couple of years ago, and rely on the fact that we have this pass rush. I believe that at some point we're still going to put more into the pass rush in this draft, and perhaps in free agency as well. I mean, we're getting performance from in just about everybody that Dan Quinn's selecting at the moment. So you got to trust that they'll come. And now that you got to pick your poison between him and Stephon Gilmore as well. I mean, there are going to be more passes coming in his way one way or another anyway. So just be ready for that. And I don't mean that you go back to being a Byron Jones and just cover first, but get the interception if you can, but make sure that you're steady on the tackles as well.
Well, there's an interesting question, right, guys? Is that like you see in both sides with the last two cornerback ones we've had. We've got Trayvon Diggs, who's getting interceptions, but also allows touchdowns. And then you have Byron Jones, no interceptions, but man, he was locking it down. Like, which way, and I've got my philosophy on it, but which way would you guys prefer it? A guy who lets nothing out, or Trayvon Diggs who's taking the ball the other way?
I like the lockdown guy myself.
Me
interceptions
too.
are a big splash play, but if you can lock the guy down and force the other team to punt the ball to you, gets you almost as good as a pick.
I totally agree, 100%.
I always hated the fact they moved on from Byron. I was just like, the guy allowed like that is last year with the Cowboys, allowed something like for the season total of like something like 200 odd yards. You're just like, do you know what that is? That's like 2 first downs in a game. That's it.
Yeah.
I just find that wild. And then people are like, nope, doesn't get interceptions. And you're like, so what? They're not scoring against him.
Miami didn't seem to have a problem when they gave him 81 million. So
no, yeah, sad times. But you're talking of going to other guys. A little sneaky conversation is being had at the moment. I don't know if you've seen this, but there's one that's going on. The Tampa Bay Bucks are looking to try and trade Devin White, the linebacker. One of the teams who has sprung up are the Dallas Cowboys, who have raised interest. Would you like that for the value or not? There is that. You're looking about 11 to 12 mil. So the Cowboys do have the cap space to do it.
Yeah, but they're getting to where they've got to look at how much they keep.
The rollover, yeah.
I will throw in the caution you always have to keep in mind is that every player that's looking to move or be traded or get signed is going to make sure the Cowboys are mentioned along with his name.
I know. Yeah. It sticks an extra 0 on the end of the contract.
Yeah. I guess I'm curious to see what Damone Clark has.
That is my argument to it.
Yeah, and now that you've got Van Der Esch locked back in for a couple of years, I think they're in pretty good shape there. So I would not be real eager about doing it. I can see some reasons why you might want to, but let's see where they're sitting after the draft before we start even contemplating that. That would be where I'd be.
Because they both go on, Paul. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely on board with Tom there. And just to kind of look at it from the draft perspective, there's some actual decent linebackers you can get in like the 3rd rounds, 4th rounds. That we creamed, that we gem that you get, like your Devin Clarks, etc. So there's a chance you can probably get a much cheaper option for much more longer period of time as well.
Yeah, and you've also got to think that you got Jabril Cox, who, subpar season last year, obviously didn't get back on the field a lot, but he's another year removed from the injury. Perhaps like Michael Gallup, you're probably expecting a bounce back year from him this year. You got Devin Harper, who effectively was a redshirt last year.
Yeah.
Bring both of them on. If they've had a year in the scheme, we've got the benefit that Dan Quinn's back. So, another year in learning that scheme and they're ready to hit the ground running, then maybe you got the stuff there. And if you've then gone and used draft capital and cash, what do you then do to, you tend to play the money guys first, but that's a progress stopper. I mean, as great as Jason Witten was, I mean, look at all the backup tight ends that we had that, never got on the field half the time. Gavin Escobar, that sort of thing. So you end up creating a situation like that with linebacker as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is all true. And like you say, I when I seen it, the first thing that came into my mind was both Devin and Damone Clark are that nice Will type linebacker on the weak side. And I'm with you that I just think, let's see what Damone Clark is going to bring to the table before you think about moving on from him or finding some veteran replacement. So, and Drew Sanders is a good option too. We'll get into that a little bit later. Other news, Aiden O'Connell, Clayton Tune, both quarterbacks. You're looking day 3 type guys, both in on workouts and 30 visits for the Cowboys. So does look like, I think, day 3. Like, are we thinking round 4? Round 4 is early, is maybe like the earliest the Cowboys will pull the trigger on drafting a Cowboy. Or would you say that's too early?
It kind of depends on what's there around them. I think there might be more value because they're drafting someone as a backup / developmental guy at quarterback. I never argue against taking a quarterback late in the draft just to see what you might stumble across.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems to me the Cowboys did pretty well, like with a guy that didn't even get drafted not too long ago.
Yeah,
it turned out pretty well.
Yeah.
They had a, and you even look at Dak. I mean, they took him with a compensatory pick, so it was really kind of like a 5th round pick. So
true.
5th round, 6th round is when I'd start to look at that myself. Not that I have any say in the draft room, so that's just kind of where I am on it.
They should listen to you, Tom. They should listen. But yeah, let's get into this then. All right, here we go. This is going to certainly fire up everybody. This is certainly going to fire up everybody's interest here and everyone at home. So here we are. It is, of course, yes. It is Piper's mock draft that happened 2 days ago. So if you've seen it, with the first pick number 26, the Cowboys took tight end Notre Dame, Michael Mayer. And you go, okay, and I can see it. There is talk, a lot of talk from the coaches and behind closed doors about tight end being a priority for them, or at least to be a draft. Little Max in the house. It's good to see him. And obviously, big shout out to Elizabeth, who came in, first lady of the room. But the second pick number 58, and this is a guy that Paul spoke about the other week. And I find it crazy that he's not being spoken about more, is Jonathan Mingo.
The wide receiver from Ole Miss.
Yes. So another Ole Miss prospect in the second round, which is quite interesting. What do you guys... Go on.
I'm going to say Ultra Cowboy will be jumping for joy the fact that you just mentioned that name, because I'm pretty sure he likes Jonathan Mingo. So
I get the reasons why.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah.
I don't understand, especially when you look at the year of production he had at Ole Miss with the Rebels last year, why he's so low down. I don't get it. I feel like he should be higher up. He shouldn't be within range of the Cowboys, in my opinion. But let's get everyone's take here. Michael Mayer, Jonathan Mingo. Let's go with it. Get angry if you want.
I don't mind the Michael Mayer pick. Like he brings more the blocking side of the tight end position 100%. Like
Jason Witten is who he is.
Yeah. Yep. But I would say a lot more physical than him for sure.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I like Michael Mayer myself. Not just because he sounds like a Halloween character, but what about you, Tom? I know you're going to have a lot to say on this mock draft. Certainly the guys taken after, like Zach Charbonnet was taken after the Cowboys pick.
Yeah. I've kind of started to cool again on tight end. I'm not going to be horribly upset however the Cowboys go in the first round, because I think they've done an excellent job of setting themselves up to have a great amount of freedom and flexibility with who they pick. I just did on the Riled Up podcast that just went up. We looked at something Roy White and I did that came from Bill Barnwell. He looked at the 14 playoff teams from last season and how many players were taken in the first round on each of their rosters.
Interesting.
None of them had a first-round tight end on their roster. None of the teams that made the playoffs invested that in it. So it makes me just question the overall value of a tight end at that, if there's not someone else like one of the money positions we were just talking about they could get. It depends on how their board is stacked up and who's available. But, Mingo, no, not in the second round. I'm just trusting the other evaluators. I don't look at the tape and stuff, but he looks like he's at best third round pick as far as how his talent is being judged. I haven't seen our own David Howman's big board yet, which I'm interested to see how he has him stacked up.
My BFF.
I like. David can be pretty abrasive sometimes, maybe, but he does put a lot of work into it. I haven't gone and looked at Dane Brugler's either, but
I'm just looking at Brugler's just now, so I'll tell you where he's.
Yeah.
In fact, just we were actually talking about that on yesterday's show, and we haven't actually seen Dane Brugler's structure, so you're basically breaking it to us right now, Lauren.
So Brugler's got Mingo as the 86th player in the top 100 and wide receiver 12.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so that makes him a third round option to me, which I can buy into that. Yeah, but I think second round is too high.
You think that's a bit rich?
And I'm pulling for them to get an offensive lineman somewhere in the first two rounds. I'll tip that. That's a little spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. That may be a would you rather draft edition question coming up. But for me, I think Jonathan Mingo isn't getting spoke about enough, and we've had outliers of his archetype before at the wide receiver, because when you watch him, you see DK Metcalf, and when I watch him, and you think, wow, and we know how much of a weapon he is in the NFL, and I watch Mingo, and I just think, wow, that is a copy of Metcalf. So it's not bad, but I do get what you're saying, Tom, as well, that there are other pressing needs, and you can use other ways of finding wide receivers later in the draft, especially with what the Cowboys have now on the roster. But the last little bit of information, and we'll get into the would you rathers for half an hour then, and we'll let you get back to your cigar, Tom. Just in case anyone's ever wondering, when we pull the curtain back at Blogging the Boys, me and Tom do talk quite a lot, but it's very rarely about the Cowboys. It's mostly about cigars.
See, I came unprepared. I was going to smoke one of my cigars tonight.
Yeah. I mean, we talk occasionally on the pre-game and the post-game shows, but in the Slack chat, everybody's talking really seriously about something that's going. And me and Tom are going, yeah. So what are we smoking tonight then, Tom?
Had a Monte
sending
Cristo
each other
earlier.
pictures. Yeah, sending each other pictures, and it's just messing the conversation up. But the last one that has come up, and it's quite an interesting one, and I know it's from Mike Fisher, and people have their feelings on Fish. Yeah. He's talking about Ronald Jones and his job security, that looking at how he's looking, that he may not actually make the final cut. How do you guys feel that that's going to go? It's just from conversations he's had with coaches.
But it's quite surprising considering we just brought him in. But then again, we saw that same scenario with Clinton Dix a couple of years ago.
Very true.
Yeah. I love the fact that that they may be trending just a little bit towards not caring about how they brought someone in. They're going to look at what's the value. Are they going to help? I really would not be surprised to see them trying to add a running back in the draft that could definitely put Jones at risk. And so, yeah, it's a valid question, at least to raise.
Yeah, I think that perhaps is where Fish is, and what he's heard in the whispers. So, because there's some talk about how Deuce Vaughn is tied quite closely to the Cowboys, and we're talking about late round running backs.
Yep.
And it's a deep position. So I think that perhaps 1 and 2, the left and the right hand, are slightly trying to talk to each other somewhere there. I'm not sure. Bring back Zeke. Yeah, that's always a good option.
Well, after the draft, I'm sure Zeke will be happy to take $3 million or whatever, So if nobody signed him up, but
yeah, it's not an inconceivable idea.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is true.
It could happen.
Yeah. All right, so should we get into some would you rathers then, guys? Because I've got quite a few here. Some of them are more complicated than others. Some of them are fairly easy. Don't just give me your one-word answer. Give me your answer and the reasons why. That's right. That was quite intense. Went on for longer than I was expecting. I was like, stop now. Kept tailing on. Right. Okay. So play along at home as well. Give us your answers, guys. If you're watching and it's not live, just put it in the comments what answer you're giving it to. Love to know what your guys' feelings are. As we always say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So there's no wrong or right answer to any of these. Pick 26 then, guys. And I think I already know where this answer is about to go.
Okay.
Pick number 26. Who would you rather, or what would you rather? Osiris Torrance, offensive guard, or cornerback Emmanuel Forbes?
Ernesto Torrance is a right guard.
Very true. There you go. That was the sneaky one. I was wondering if anyone's going to pick up on that. Well done, Mr. Paul. You win yourself 12 UK Cowboys points.
You know me, I do know my offensive lineman.
You like your guard. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You like your line. So is that something that's going to put you off the Osiris Torrance experience?
Yes, unfortunately. And as anyone may know, I hate shifting players out of their natural position to somewhere else. I especially within the offensive line. So for Torrance to play on the left-hand side, where he's literally played not next to zero in his college career, it'll be a big learning block. Different style, different position of stance, different movement. He's not kicking back, then pass protection with his more predominant foot, etc., his first step. All those play into a big, massive factor. So I would go against that idea and possibly go with the cornerback in this scenario.
Okay. Like we've said before, playing left and right is like wiping your butt with the wrong hand.
Very true.
Yeah. However, I will say, I don't think that puts the Cowboys staff off it nearly as much.
No.
True. Remember, they love to draft tackles and make guards out of them. That was the plan with Tyler Smith. They've moved guys from the left side to the right side at tackle quite a bit. So I think they might believe in that. And like I said, I really would like to see them beef up the line, with left guard being the primary concern for me. If they think they can switch him over the course of the OTAs and getting into training camp, I'd lean for the guard guy.
Because I mean, the issue you've got is that if we draft Emmanuel Forbes, who is, by the way, very small. He's a tiny guy. He's like 160 pounds. Yeah. Oh, he's very, very
okay. I might change my mind now.
They don't like those.
Now
small
that you
corners.
mentioned that, yeah, I think I might swing towards of actually going against my principle here of shifting offensive linemen to a different position. So
170 pounds. Sorry, 170 pound. Still light. Still,
yeah.
Yeah. Like, to me, the issue is if you didn't do this option, you're looking at either Chuma is going to be playing your left guard spot, or we're going with what Jerry Jones has said, and we're putting in Terrence Steele.
I would not put Terrence Steele at guard. Keep him at right tackle. Keep him there.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now, I tell you, I'm not sleeping on Adoga. I mean,
no,
they may have someone they're willing to go into the season with, but I still would like to see him beef that up.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you there. But like if they went into the season, Tom, with Chuma at left guard, you're kind of like, okay, you're not like happy and thrilled about it, but you're like, okay, let's see what he's got then. Let's go with it. I'm with you there. For definite.
Yeah, I think just to throw my 2 pence in as well, I'd stick with the offensive line as well, because again, that's where the question mark is, if anything, on this team, because at the moment, well, barring injury, you should have your starting 3 set up at least, and you've got McQuamu coming in, you saw something from Wright as well, so you've maybe got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 corners available for this defense. You've got the question mark at the moment is probably with what you're doing with left guard, and if you can get even a body in there, and at least, again, you were saying that Conor McGovern was more of a right guard than a left guard. And yet he was serviceable. He was more than serviceable last year. I mean, there's a reason why he's now in Buffalo earning $24 million over 3 years. So
and he'll play right. He play right guard there as well. Ironically,
but there was a reason why, because he was actually kept at that position all season. He wasn't getting shifted about as much.
He did play fullback.
All right. If you want to count that in, then cool, whatever. But no, I mean, within the offensive line, though.
Yeah, don't worry. I don't know why I'm bringing that up, because that actually lost me a bet, so it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, you owe your $10 to who was it? Who was it again?
Rob Phillips.
Rob Phillips. That's right. Yeah.
All right, let's go with another one. Remember, these are hypotheticals, so before people say this would never happen, I agree. But we're just to find out people's value and frame of mind. 3rd round, guys, right? So here we go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're into pick number 90 here. 3rd round pick. Who would you rather? Quarterback Hendon Hooker or linebacker Nolan Smith?
Linebacker
Nolan Smith.
In the 3rd round. You like from Georgia?
Yes.
Oh. But he's not going to be in the 3rd round.
I just said that the hypotheticals, Mr.
I know, but still, though, that's like extreme. You're gonna I really do like Hendon Hooker, but I wouldn't mind adding more firepower to that defensive line.
Yeah,
more firepower. So,
because here's my issue, right, Paul, with Nolan Smith. And watching the tape, right? You look at Nolan Smith at the combine and takes your breath away.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
You watch the tape, and I'm looking at it like, I don't know. It's difficult because the tape doesn't show you as much as you see in the combine. And if you're drafting Hendon Hooker, you redshirt.
Yeah, fingers crossed you're not relying on Hendon Hooker at all. But I have to go with Paul. Actually, I'd probably have a bookend to Micah Parsons. that sort of thing. I mean,
Mhm.
from all accounts, if the Cowboys took somebody like DeMar Overshawn from Texas,
Mhm.
Oh,
they're
now
they're
we're talking.
they're toying at making him an edge player.
Yeah.
You
You
know,
probably could bulk him up.
uh-huh. So, you know, again, that's that. You know, they're already toying with ideas that they can have if things fall to them. So, um, I think Smith in the third round. I mean, that's, you know, I think if you looked at his tape, third round is probably where you were probably expecting.
There you go.
Then throw in the combine, and that's why he's suddenly jumped up. You know, he's the equivalent of some of the guys last year that, you know, started the whole draft process. They were probably fifth rounders. By the end of the draft, they'd been taken in the first round. You were like,
Mhm.
well, if you'd gone back and had a look, why the hell was he in the first round? But
You could say the same thing about Micah Parsons. He had no tape.
Just to answer Little Mac's question, Hendon Cooker is 25.
Yes.
Ooh.
So he was born in January 13th, 1998.
He is an older prospect.
But hey, we've had old quarterbacks start for the Cowboys
true.
and take you to 5 Super Bowls, was it? So
How old was
Yeah.
Vinny Testaverde when he came to the Cowboys?
Yeah, but quarterback is a different breed. They have such a longer lifespan with all the rules protecting them, and if they're properly used and not turned into a pseudo running back like certain teams in the NFC East have done with their starter. So the age itself would make me think they should lean the other direction. I'd have to say that.
Nolan Smith. Okay. Now, have you got a pen for the next one? Because you need to write a couple of things down for this one. If not, I can just repeat it so you got it in your head. So this is a little of a long-winded one.
I'll just type it.
It's a little of a long-winded one. So here we go, right? This is a trade-down scenario in the second round. So the Cowboys trade out of pick number 58 to pick number 62 with the Eagles. All right. They also get pick number 94 in the third round and a conditional fourth round in 2024. With their picks at number 62 and 94, they draft tight end Darnell Washington and defensive tackle Keanu Benton.
For you want to say Ike there?
He's coming up, right? Or do you trade out of the first round, pick number 26, for pick number 33 with Houston? And they get pick number 33, 65, and 104. With those picks, they get Steve Avila, Drew Sanders, and Jaquelin Roy.
Yes, without a shadow of a doubt.
But you get no first round pick.
I don't care. Like, it fills the needs more substantially for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
If you're getting Avila, I mean, think of 26 as high second round pick. That's the way the talent stacks up. Is there's almost never more than 20 to 25 legitimate first round values. The Cowboys are just hovering on the edge of having one there. I don't know if this is seen as exactly how strong it is. I know that there's some positions that are really strong, others that aren't this year. But they're getting linked to Avila a lot already. Plays right there at TCU, just down the road in Fort Worth. They're very familiar with him. I think they might have him in their sights. And picking up the extra picks, I mean, the drafting, especially after the first round, is a numbers game. You're firing your shotgun and hoping you get some hits.
Okay, so you're happy to trade out of the first, get the extra, get Avila, Sanders, and Roy, who they've had in, rather than trading your second round pick for Washington and Benton.
Just to confirm, you're talking about Roy, the defensive interior tackle for LSU?
Correct, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. That would be the best second round, like just from just players that come out of college. When you look at it, I would say that would be like spot on. Now, I do agree with a lot of the comments. I think the second year is our most important picks this year, the whole draft. The first round, it could be anything. But I think the most important pieces of the puzzle are going to be that second round pick. If we trade back and whatever we do in that second round, it's going to be very fundamental going forward.
Yeah, just a quick one to interject. I see your comments on Twitter, guys. We cannot bring them up on here. We do apologize. It's the system.
Yeah, guys. If you want to get your comments in, come onto YouTube or come onto our Facebook group and get your comments in there. Yeah,
and we can bring them up for you. But a lot of people are agreeing second option. So a lot of people are quite happy to trade out of the first round if that means we get a top-notch interior offensive lineman, a linebacker, and a defensive tackle. Then
absolutely
multiple picks, but no first-round pick is what we're happy with.
And Roy is a true one tick as well.
All right.
Yep. I think the only person who'd be upset would be Lunda Wells. By all accounts, he absolutely loves Darnell Washington. I think it was Hellman on one of the podcasts this week, maybe about them boys or something like that, and he was saying that he'd been speaking to Lunda Wells, and Lunda Wells' eyes lit up like a lovesick teenager.
All right, then. Should we go for another one?
Go for it.
All right, then. This is pick number 58. We're back to this. We're staying in the second round, right?
Okay.
Defensive tackle, no nose tackle, Saika Ika.
Ooh, that's my guy. That is my guy this year.
Or interior offensive lineman, John Michael Schmitz.
Ika.
Yeah.
Ika.
I'm going to sound like a broken record. I'm agreeing with Paul on this.
Interesting. All right.
Again, yes, the Cowboys value position flex and all that, but you saw what happened last year when Hankins went down. Bahana for a 5th round pick hasn't developed yet to what we need. Somebody like Ika, who even has some pass rushing skills as well and has the potential to develop that in the next couple of years, especially under, again, going back, Dan Quinn seems to get pot of gold out of absolutely everything. If you can develop something like that, then that's where I'd be going.
Yeah, I would love to see the Cowboys invest in some defensive tackle beef. I mean, you're talking a guy that's 335, that anchor you need. They have lacked that. That's why I'm so glad they brought Hankins back. That gives them some hope there. But if you can upgrade in the draft and get something that'll carry forward for a few seasons, as much as I like interior defensive line, I really think they've been very lax in addressing those defensive tackles.
There you go.
And also in the exercise that we did on Riled Up, it was interesting to note that half the teams that made the playoffs had spent a 1st round pick on a defensive tackle. So that is kind of an indicator that that's a viable way to go. And so getting one later on is even better if it's a good player that fits that profile. I think they need to really pay attention to the nose tackle type.
Especially in the one tech position, because we've got a couple of guys already in the Cowboys that play as the 3 tech, just off in between the guard and the tackle, but we don't have one off the guard and center. So in the A gap or 1 tech position, and that's something we do lack of. We do have Jonathan Hankins back in, but we do need someone to be in there more longer term. So I think getting Ika in there, and depends what we do in the first round. You didn't mention the first round.
No. Wait, this is in a vacuum.
I know, but I'm just saying, but hypothetically saying that we may have one offensive lineman in the first round anyway. So I would have been more open to get a good guy like Saika Ika from Baylor in there who can play the 1 tech, who kind of, for me personally, I think he resembles a lot like Vita Vea from Tampa Bay. That's who he resembles in terms of his playing style. So I'm truly up for that.
Twitter, just so you know, I'm looking at it, and it is a split decision going on there right now.
Ooh.
Yes. So quite interesting. But yeah, I'm coming off the piggybacking of your comment, Tom, is I think they do need to beef up the defensive line. And also on the other side of it is if they drafted another guy, say first or second round, that's a first or second round guy, another one on the offensive line. Whereas look at the defensive line. Like defense, there is no first or second round defensive lineman on that. I know, obviously, there's one that they've got him, but they didn't draft him. He's come in off free agency. So, yes. All right, then. Here's the next one. What would you rather? Devon Witherspoon, cornerback, or wide receiver Quentin Johnson?
Well, it's pretty much an easy one for me. I think I would just they're just based on pure talent, and
Yeah.
obviously, and so is it based on the first round? Yeah,
Yeah.
has to be Quentin Johnson. Has to be.
Oh, interesting.
See, if you go by what we've put into this Cowboys team this year, I think first round wide receivers probably off the board. I mean, you got Brandon Cooks for cheap. You got what you hope is Michael Gallup coming back. You've got CD Lamb, who's established himself as a number one. So anybody that's coming in, is going to be struggling to get on the field. You want something to happen there. As I say, you still got potentially a question mark at cornerbacks. You've got age as well, and you maybe want to draft and develop. So I'd probably go with Witherspoon, to be honest.
Sneaky.
Now, I was thinking actually about that whole thing about the wide receiver situation. That in order to have 3 good wide receivers, you have to have 4.
Correct.
Because you're always going to have someone that misses games.
Yeah.
And plus, I frankly would like someone to challenge Gallup for the three hole. I like Michael Gallup pre his injury.
Yes.
I just have this, I need to see him return to that to have confidence in it. So, I would go with Johnson. I would want the wide receiver come in, load up. It's, they're both money positions, but in this case, I think just looking at it all, at corner, I think with what they've got, I think they can weather one injury there better than they can weather one injury at wide receiver. And that's just my logic on that.
Yeah. All right, then. Here's one for you then, Tom. I was thinking of you when I wrote this one. Pick number 58, running back, Devon A-Chain. Or at pick 90, cornerback, Darius Rush. Which would you rather?
Okay, now you've kind of mentioned the fact in the pregame that I'm an Aggie.
Yes.
But I've watched A-Chain so much, and that guy is dynamic. He is electric. And, he can go up the middle, he can go wide, and he's great in the passing game.
Mm-hmm.
I just would love to see them get him. What you said at 58?
58.
Yeah, it may be a little rich, but I think he may be worth it. I think that's a guy that I would have to go with, not just in my heart, but thinking about what the Cowboys need to do on offense, what we're hoping to see out of the Mike McCarthy offense now that he really has the reins in his hands. Forget about Brian Schottenheimer. He's helping McCarthy make the plans. McCarthy is going to run the offense.
Yeah.
So that's, just to me, I would love to see what he can do with AJ. I would love to see a lot of pony sets with him and Tony Pollard.
Definitely.
Oh,
and then you can utilize both because both can play the passing game.
Mm-hmm.
West Coast offense, you can shift them out into the slot if you wanted to as well. But that was a big thing for me with A-Chain is that you've got Tony Pollard, so he is your bell cow. Because I think the only thing that lacks for A-Chain in the NFL is I just see him as he will always be a change of pace back. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that I'm an Aggie myself, so I've seen him play loads, and I think the same thing. I think he's dynamic and electric, but because of that, the slight frame, I want to limit the number of snaps that he takes. I don't want him in there on a high number because I think you're going to get throughout the season, he's just going to start to tail off.
Yeah. Well, if Tony Pollard hadn't moved from being a change of pace back to now being their lead back, I would, be hesitant about it. But I think the team needs both. They need one of each.
Definitely.
And so, I'd love A-Chain on the team. All
right. What about you guys? You can go either way. I love Darius Rush. Darius Rush in the Senior Bowl was, but hit me with it, guys. Which would you rather?
Arkin.
I'm on the fence, to be honest. My concern is that A-Chain is effectively another Tony Pollard. You don't have what we're missing at the moment, and there isn't really somebody in the draft certainly at that level that you're looking for a big body running back. Which is why, again, we were joking about bringing back Zeke after the draft. Perhaps that's going to be the case because you don't know what's happening. But I mean, the more weapons you have on offense, especially West Coast offense, you're trying to use every single yard on the pitch, not just vertically but also horizontally as well. Something like that would be fantastic as well. And then, as you say, giving power to this defense as well, and giving you another option at cornerback. So I'd be happy with either pick. And especially you're not giving us a one or the other. You're saying 58 or 90.
Or 90, yeah. But just to translate as well, Tom. Pitch means field.
Yep.
In the UK. Just in case you were wondering why he said pitch.
Yeah, like football pitch, football field.
Yeah.
Actually knew that, although I would have had to stop and think about it for a little bit.
I know you've been in the UK, so yeah. All right, I'm gonna hit you with the last one.
Okay.
Go on, if you got a take, we'll take your take, Tom. Or do you want the last one so we can wrap him up?
Go ahead. I was just rambling.
All right. Here we go. No, it's fine. I like your rambles. Right, all right. So, do you want the Cowboys in this option? Would you rather that they traded away pick 129 and in return they trade away 129 to the San Francisco 49ers and they get pick 164 and 173. With those two picks, they draft Antonio Maffey and quarterback Clayton Tune with those two picks. Or do they hold fast at 129 and draft running back Tajay Spears?
Oh, wow. Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one, mate. I will give that one.
And look at Lorne. Lorne is back
Emotional damage.
It really is emotional damage.
If you have to stop and think that hard about it, is there a wrong answer?
Exactly.
No, there's no wrong answer on that one.
They're hypotheticals.
I like Tajay Spears a lot as well.
Yep.
Go watch his Senior Bowl tape.
Oh,
that guy was flying up the field in practices.
But at the same time, again, obviously we don't know what we've done before, but in this hypothetical scenario, like we do get a left guard in, and Tune's what position is Tune again?
Quarterback. He's quite a prolific passer. He's from is it Houston? He is as well.
The Houston quarterback.
So 40 TDs last season, and and that's playing behind a fairly porous offensive line as well. So imagine them in our offense. I mean, heaven forbid we want 21 games out of Dak this year. But
big arm.
Yeah.
Huge arm.
Oh.
Let's go to Tom while you have a think. What's Tom gonna do here?
I kind of like the 2-for-1 myself.
Yeah. See, that's the one.
Address a couple extra things with some pretty intriguing players.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of getting in a guy that can sling it all over the field.
But he does have a big
they can develop. Somebody that may be your real quarterback too, who's not just a guy that's. I mean, we've all got to love what Cooper Rush did, but he was strictly driving the bus. Yeah, I like a guy that maybe they could continue to run the same offense through effectively.
Yeah, he's very different to Dak, which is what my concern is, because you always want your backup quarterback to be something fairly similar, so you don't have to change too much on the offense. So he is very different, but for me, he's my quarterback 7, just above Max Duggan.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Tyjae Spears because I think he will deliver more offensive weapons towards Dak.
You have always loved Tyjae Spears. Stick with your guns, Paul.
Yeah, like as much it pains because I do like the idea of the 2-for-1 that Tom just mentioned there, that you are getting a guard and you're getting like a backup quarterback, but with those reasons it's just mentioned there, like different type of quarterback compared to what we've already got. It is kind of putting me off a little bit. So I'd rather have more weapons available for Dak to kind of like spread out the offense. So I'm going to go with Tyjae Spears in this one.
All right. Split decision then, are we?
I believe so.
Yeah. That really is a scunner anyway. I think I'd probably go Tyjae Spears as well. Just purely, I can see what Tom's saying. The 2-for-1, but again, Maffey's going to need time to develop. Same with you don't expect Tune to get in as well. I think you're going to get more out of Tyjae Spears this season. And again, it's relatively low cost. That if he turns around and he's brilliant, for the next 4 years, then he'll be relatively cheap to. You can do a Tony Pollard type deal or whatever, and again, it focuses Tony Pollard as well for this season that he needs to produce this year if he wants to parlay it into a contract, or he needs to get his agents to get this long-term deal done if you put some serious draft capital in.
Yeah, very true.
I wanted to just throw in a little kind of breaking news since Darnell Washington's name has cropped up. Todd Archer was reporting just within the hour that he was a visitor to the Star.
Yeah.
So there's definite interest there.
As was Tucker Kraft from South Dakota State.
Another tight end, yeah.
They are seriously looking at it, and there was some people talking behind the scenes. I was talking to saying that the coaches are seriously looking at tight end, Tom. They are very interested in it.
Yeah, you can look at the 30 visits names we've got, and they're kind of looking. It looks to me like they're looking all over the draft too. They're not trying to look at a particular spot or name. They're trying to figure out where they can get one. And still allocate the resources properly.
Yeah, I mean, like we was talking last week, me and Paul, about the wide receivers they brought in for 30 visits, and I think like people are paying a lot of attention to the fact they had a lot of wide receivers, and I was like, well, what is more telling to me is not so much they're looking at a lot of wide receivers, it's that they're willing to look at a lot of different types of wide. So you got everything from Josh Downs to Quentin, it's Jalen Hyatt. They're looking at all of them. They're not pigeonholing themselves to one particular. They're willing to just open the door to whatever they can, not what they can grab, but what they can use and utilize in a way that they want to.
But I mean, the other thing with the 30 visits as well, where Dallas have an advantage is obviously we have the Dallas Day as well, so you get so many of these guys coming in as well as Dallas Day people that you can use some of your 30 visits as smoke and mirrors, so that teams are going, oh wait a minute, the Cowboys are interested in him, right? He's potentially first round. I'm gonna have to go for him at number 19 or something like that, So. I think if you look at the last couple of years worth of draft, there's only been a couple of guys that they've drafted that have been part of the 30 visits, but these guys have been on the table as well. So they're just covering all their bases and using some the element of smoke and mirrors with it.
Definitely.
Yeah, Dallas Day is an advantage to Dallas because that's a talent-rich area.
Yeah,
and they sometimes grab a guy who was going to be a first or second round option and use the Dallas Day visit on him so they can go look at somebody else with one of their traditional 30 visits.
Like take Jackson Smith, for instance, like Ohio State, but because he grew up in the Dallas area, they can use him on Dallas Days. Sneaky little, like you say, in such a nice pool of talent there. Like I've always said, especially the colleges around there, that you could just hold a stone in your hand and do a 360 and lob it, and you'll hit a 4-star recruit. So, if you're in Texas, it's
the high school talent is really good in Dallas.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah. I mean, because friend of the show, Heckma Harrison's been doing coverage on WFAA. I've been staying up on Friday nights and watching that till 4 a.m. or whatever. So, it's been good watching that.
As he says, truth is in the booth, mate.
Yep.
But yes, that is. There we go. An hour, Tom. So we've gone a little bit over. To apologise. So yes,
loved it.
Yeah. We will very, very quickly, Paul. If you hit me with this, and then we'll let everybody know where they can catch.
Yep, sure. Guys, if you're planning to go to a Dallas Cowboys game this year, be sure to go and check out cowboysexperience.com for meet and greets, stadium tours, game tickets, tailgating, and much, much more.
Yeah, and obviously hit me with that as well, Lorne. Are you there, Lorne?
Right, okay, so check out our Ring of Honor. These guys here, Talking Cowboys, Hanging the Boys. Got to mention, obviously, Blogging the Boys. Obviously, we've got 3 guys here who all work for them as well. So I particularly like at the weekend, obviously, Paul's show and Meg. Obviously, Tom, your show's great. That's on my downloads as well. Other ones here, Big Game James, Pick 6 Sports, Skywalker Steel, KT's Funhouse. I keep telling you, I'm listening to all your podcasts at 1.5 speed because I'm just trying to get through everything all day.
Yeah, there's plenty of choice in there, right? But where can everybody find you, Tom? I know it's on the screen and we've had it scrolling across the bottom, but let everybody know, where can they find your work, your show, and Twitter as well?
Yeah, I'm of course I'm our front page writer at Blogging the Boys. Been there over a decade for something that I thought was like, maybe I'll give it a shot and see if they'll even pay attention. It's kind of stunning to still be rolling along and actually have people that read my stuff, which I absolutely love. I love people to read what I write and comment on it and get interested and maybe learn something and think about something different. I have the Riled Up podcast, which I think has just gone live right now. Comes out every Thursday, and on Twitter, as long as the poor beleaguered platform survives along with us, you can find me at Tom Ryle BTB. It's Ryle with a Y. It's a good old English name. I want to mention. Yes. Yep. You don't find it much over here. And it's amazing how many Americans look at me and go, Mr. Riley? And I'm like, no.
Ryle.
Yeah. please, give me a listen, give me a follow if you want. Thanks again, guys. It was a blast.
Hey, it's always a pleasure to have you, mate.
Next time you're on here, we need to get the cigars out for sure.
Yeah. RJ frowned at that whole idea for the live stream, but yeah, I might be willing to go there.
Hey, well, I mean, we've got the draft day shows coming up, so we're going to get everybody back in again. So we'll definitely get you in to get your takes on it. That's for sure. But as we do on every show, we have to give a big shout out to the Ukies, the MVPs of the show, which is you guys. You were in force tonight. It was a pleasure to have you all with us and invite you in your homes. Have a lovely weekend. Stay safe, everybody. And as we always do every week, these guys get the last say. So you get the last say, and we'll take this show out.
You know what I'm going to say? Dallas forever, Philly for never.
Yep. Can't say more than that.
2 weeks and then lots of coffee.